Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the Counseling to Future Conflicts. My name is Scott, the proprietor of the Future Conflict channel. Today, it's just me and Watcher. We're talking Hamas, these dirty, austere scholars, and Antifa is going down. I don't know that Antifa is really going down, but I mean, there's a lot of good stuff happening on that front. And while Hamas, I get the feeling the way they're acting, they're just literally putting a they are so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that they understand like how any of this stuff works. And they're literally asking for Israel to come in and kill them. Actually, what they're asking them to do is the rest of the world to not give two fucks about them anymore. Especially if you can separate Hamas from the Palestinian people. Like if they become an enemy to the Palestinian people, which is what they're in the process of doing, it's like they might as well just off themselves.
Well, I mean, it's a little bit I don't know if it's understandable, but it certainly wasn't unforeseeable, right?
I mean, this is not out of form for them. So anyway, we'll dive into that more later in the show. But Joe is on the road and he's got bad connection, so he wasn't able to jump on with us today. Who knows? Maybe he'll get so bored of his idyllic wilderness paradise that he's staying over in tonight that he might call in. I'm not holding my breath because bad internet is bad internet. You guys remember how it was for me when I was in Turkey some of those days when it was just like the internet. There was just no way in hell I was going to get on. So I think Joe may be in that same situation.
Yeah, I see a lot of people in chat praising Columbus Day, and I don't know, and so instructions unclear on my end, and I've ended up celebrating Columbo Day, so I don't know.
Cool. Well, did you see there was did you see that to celebrate Columbus Day, some wackadoos went in and threw red paint all over like a
Spanish
a painting,
museum, yeah.
from a portrait from the 1880s or something like that. Not even a portrait; it was a giant and they did it right on the actual painting. So of course it's not ruined because they can fix that kind of stuff, but it's just one of those kind of things that I mean. Immediately, I saw several people post that meme where the guy walks up and just shoots the people who glued themselves to the wall. I mean, the tolerance level for people who do that kind of thing is really going down. Hey, a little Cannon in the chat. Hey, brother, how are you?
Hey, Cannon, welcome, bud. If you get some
Long
time, if you get some time, you know where the link is.
Yep. All right. Let's see. Let's check out the chat. Chell. I don't remember seeing Chell as much in the chat anymore. It's nice to see her there. Our Corgi's there. Hunch Dirty Roofer. Good morning. Jay Clark. Yep. Karen. Nice to see y'all. All right. The show probably will go by quickly today because there's only two of us talking. And Watcher, you are not the most talkative from time to time. So that's all I have to say about that.
I prefer laconic, but sure.
Well, I tell you what, to keep you from having to worry about talking, let's jump right into the first one. And it's a video of a guy talking. So we get to listen to this. Now, we haven't done a lot of economic news because, our smart guys on economics have not been able to be on the show in some time. But that doesn't mean I followed economic and economy stuff and all that kind of thing. Yeah, Lost Corp. Sorry, I didn't see you. I just kind of went through the sweep of what I could see. I didn't go scrolling through the chat. Sorry. Is it late? No, it's not.
Hey, Lost Core.
All right. let's watch this video and watch it. I'll throw it to you as soon as we're done.
The China trade war just blew up. Stock markets got clubbed like a baby seal. Bitcoin dumped 10%. Gold soared to $4,035, up 51% for the year. So the U.S.-China trade war had been settling down, looking like a deal was coming by the November 11th deadline. Both sides were making happy noises. President Xi and President Trump were scheduled to meet in a few weeks, and tariffs on China continued at a pedestrian 30%. Now, 30 is close to what everybody else pays, so Japan, Korea, and the EU are all paying 15% now. Mexico's at 25 for non-USMCA goods, and Canada's at 35, which is actually higher than China. Now, last week, it all blew up when China imposed a worldwide export ban on so-called rare earth minerals, what the Wall Street Journal called a, quote, bombshell. So rare earths are essential for everything from smartphones and computer chips to electric vehicles to military aircraft and drones. A single F-35 uses nearly half a ton of rare earths. Note, rare earths are not actually rare. The term comes from the fact you have to dig a lot of dirt to get a little bit of element. So we've got plenty in Wyoming, Alaska, even Missouri. But environmentalists have made it basically impossible to mine them, so we are completely dependent on China for our military production. Trump's response was fierce in a Truth Social post. He called China's move, quote, extremely hostile, promising that as of November, he will impose an additional 100% tariff on China, bringing it to 130%, and that he would unleash new and interesting punishments. Now, Trump does have a lot of punishments to choose from, including export controls of critical American chips or software to China, antitrust or anti-dumping sanctions, origin rules to crack down on Chinese re-exports, IP lawsuits for Chinese tech theft, canceling visas for Chinese government officials or even Chinese students, of which there are almost 300,000 in the U.S., or the nuclear option, restrict Chinese access to American financial markets, which account for $850 billion worth of Chinese companies raising cheap money in America. Note, there are precisely 0 listed American companies in China. There's even the little detail of a roughly $2 trillion gold-denominated debt China owes us dating from World War II, larger than all Chinese holdings of American debt. American presidents have pretended that debt does not exist, but Trump could change all that. So as SEG's brought to you by I Trust Capital, China's rare earths ban was their nuclear option. Using it says they are desperate for a deal. In a recent video, I talked about how China's running out of runway on the trade war. It's already cost Beijing trillions in stimulus, money they can't afford with out-of-control debts in local governments and property companies. Meanwhile, China's been surviving by dumping below cost into Europe and the third world. One recent news report talked about Chinese jeans selling for 80 cents in Indonesia. Those countries are now pushing back with new Chinese tariffs from the EU to Mexico. So both sides want a deal. China just showed it needs a deal. Still, China cannot just back down. President Xi would be putting himself in political jeopardy from hardline rivals. So there could be more fireworks and more market carnage. But the last major trade deal is coming to the end game. Listen to all last week's videos in a single 20-minute podcast. Search Peter St. Ange where.
So, with this watcher, it's kind of interesting. China announces this, and the U.S. stock market dropped $2 trillion. Bitcoin fell 10%. Gold rose 50% year to date. So thus far this year, it's gone up 51%, which is a great fucking, like, if you bought gold in January, then you're looking like a genius. So basically, it was a flight to safe havens.
Silver shot up to, we're at $50 spot price right now.
Yeah, and so pretty interesting, I think. The rare earths is a way. Here's the problem: the rare earths. It's like what he just said. The rare earths weapon is essentially the last big one in China's. The last economic arrow in their quiver that it can aim at the U.S., and it does show that they are getting desperate. You've got escalating problems in China. You've got the property sector, which has collapsed. They've got a deflationary spiral, weak demand for their goods. He talked about jeans selling in like Indonesia for 80 cents a pair. They are so export dependent, and that exposes them to weakness in their internal job market. 25-year-olds are having trouble getting jobs in China, and they don't have a lot of like illegal immigrants to compete with like our 25-year-olds do. So there's a lot of good in this. Now, the other thing that I think is great about this, and it's kind of tough in the short term, but it's good for us long term, is this forces us to reindustrialize. It forces us to resource or like re-onshore our supplies, or potentially in the short term, relying on friendly sources for a lot of this. I know that there's talk of using Africa to get as a place to source a lot of these metals, because it's more environmentally they're open to basically polluting their environment the way that our environmental left is. So anyway, the point is that I think this is potentially hard on us in the short term, but I voted for this, and they're talking about 150% tariff. Oh no, he's threatening 100%, and it could go up to 100.
Well, no, it's so he's threatening an additional 100%, which goes on top of the 35% that already exists.
So it would be almost about 150% on unselected things. That's pretty. I'm here for
it. Prepare, chat, for a Chinese plastic-free Christmas. No, I mean that though. Like, first of all, your kids don't need that shit. But if there is something very specific that they absolutely needed, get it now.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like, I totally feel for guys like Matt is a great example of somebody who has products from China that he features, and the problem is that a lot of people source their goods there because they can get like Baofeng radios, right? Come from China, right? This is a perfect example. So you're not going to find a Baofeng radio from anywhere else in the world except for China, because for reasons, right? Like they literally dump those radios because it probably takes about $4, $5 to make one of those all in, maybe a little less. So they may be making money on those AR-152 radios, which are a little more expensive, but I bet the volume on those are not nearly as much as like the UV5Rs.
Yeah. People are saying, and I agree with this, that they feel bad for the common Chinese person for this. I do too. Listen, and I got to put this in even better context. They were just told that if they worked and suffered and scrimped and saved for multiple generations and were very good and didn't make any fuss and all that they'd be allowed to live prosperously. And they got that for about 10 years, and they can see it about to be ripped away from them. And it's one of those, like, hell can't be all bad, right? Because if it was all bad, you'd get used to it. So there has to be some semi-decent parts of hell that like make you feel a little better, and then suddenly rip it away. And that's where we're at. And I kind of feel bad for him. I will say though that zero sympathy or tolerance for the Chinese government, who I feel has basically been the aggressor in all of this. So I don't know. It is what it is. Buckle up.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Maybe on an individual level, I feel bad for some Chinese, but especially the ones that they don't have agency in this. One of the things is, kind of looking at people as individuals is you assume people have individual agency. So even if they're ignorant, they choose the path they go down. But in a place like China, I mean, do you really have agency? if you are literally brainwashed from birth. So, like the whole like saving through grace. I think there are if that is a thing, there are people saved through grace in China because I just don't know that they ever get the gospel. In a place like China, it's so controlled. Like the information they get is so finely controlled. Anyway,
Let's go to
a
heart warmer, shall we?
Well, I just want to say that this problem's not going to go away. But if you've got money in savings, there are probably some good deals. I'm always looking for Bitcoin. Yeah. I'm always looking for Bitcoin at cheaper prices. So.
Now, I will say the only part of that surprised me is that I didn't look at the Bitcoin chart to see how much it crashed. 10%.
It went down to 1.5, and it's about up to, I think it's like a 1.11 when I checked it.
I just got to say, 10%, and y'all are acting like the sky's falling.
So I saw
soft-handed bitches.
I saw a meme that was like Bitcoin trader listening to his friends talking about the Nvidia dropped 7%, and he's like, like with like memories of Bitcoin going down 35%.
No, well, I mean,
like when you were raised in the
we lost 70% of value.
Yeah,
something like
I think
that.
It was 90%
ridiculous.
was the biggest drop, but
so it's like 10%.
The point. My point is if you've gone through the storm of Bitcoin volatility, this regular stock market doesn't seem like nearly so crazy to you. Yeah, it's at 115 right now. So, I mean, I'm a buyer at 105. I'm still kind of looking for more downside, hopefully at 115. But I mean, if it, I know not everybody in the council shares this feeling, but just stay home. Like if you stay home, you'll probably never notice that the thing happened.
Still though,
I know.
Ugh. Well, actually, this next story is very applicable, particularly if you stay home.
Yeah, well, so this is, sometimes the conflict comes to your front door, and this is the reality that all of you need to, we all think of like, hey, my firearms training and my, whatever will be like me. Me in the woods, like a modern day Minuteman reacting against the UN soldiers, right? No, it's much more likely to be the scenario that we have here. And this is another video story that we can watch and listen to.
A single mother shot and killed 3 home invaders to protect her son.
I wouldn't have done it, but it was my...
I want to clarify that a lot of this video is
not
from other incidences.
Yeah, that's right.
Son, I protect him.
This young mom showed the true strength of maternal instinct.
I walked over and got the 12 gauge. Went in the bedroom and got the pistol and put the bottle in his mouth, and then I called 911.
Late one night, 3 armed men tried to break into her home on the outskirts of Oklahoma City. Inside, 18-year-old Sarah McKinley was with her 3-month-old baby. When she heard the sound of the men trying to force their way in, McKinley grabbed her 12-gauge shotgun and dialed 911.
I'm here by myself with my infant baby. Can I please get a dispatcher out here immediately?
The dispatcher told her she couldn't fire unless the intruders actually entered her home, so she hid behind the door waiting. The moment the men broke in, she pulled the trigger, killing one instantly. The other 2 were also shot and collapsed on the floor. When police arrived, the 2 wounded suspects were rushed to the hospital, but both later died from their injuries. After reviewing the 911 call and investigating the scene, authorities ruled that McKinley had acted in self-defense and would not face any charges.
Now, I do want to point out, because I don't like being part of the problem. I agree, more of this. This is a good story. It's good. I do just want to clarify before we move on. It did happen in 2012, but it is a real incident, and it did happen as the story said it happened.
Yeah, it's an older story, but it's just a good reminder of what urban conflict is very likely to be like. It's not going to be sexy. It's going to be you scared, huddling, and your husband's gone and you're at home with, in this case, her husband was literally gone. Just go ahead and finish it up.
Oh, that's pretty much it. The rest.
No. It talks about her husband after this.
What makes her story even more heartbreaking is that her husband had just passed away from cancer on Christmas Day. Though her son will grow up without a father, he will always know that his mother was willing to do whatever it took to protect him.
Yeah. So, I mean, your partner may not be there to help you protect your family. And so you just have to be ready, with whatever you have at hand. And if what you have at hand is a 12 gauge, you use it, right? I mean, a lot of people complain, 12 gauge is overkill or something like that. But sometimes that's exactly what you need. All right. Any thoughts there, Watcher?
Yeah, we bring up stories like that because they illustrate kind of scenarios that you might find yourself in.
Like real scenarios, not like what ifs.
Yeah, and I mean that one's a burglary. I would say that stuff like that does seem to be on the rise since 2012, does it not? So yeah, be ready, guys.
I think a lot of these foreign rip gang kind of, I think they're much more likely to do this type of crime, right? Because you have people from places where life doesn't mean as much, and so or they're not aware on a visceral level what Americans are willing to do to.
Well, that's right.
Protect themselves.
That's right now, sure. And if things don't change in the way things look like they are coming, you'll enter another time period where people from here are getting so desperate that sort of thing becomes a lot more common as well. So
yeah, no, I think you're spot on. All right, anything else? Let's see. Just kind of looking.
If audio levels are it's probably me. It's usually me. There we go.
There you go. That's better. I just kind of going through my feed, and I see that the Heat chest rig is back in stock. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
I do. Yeah, I saw it the other day, and I almost liked you.
I will share it with the chat here, since I'm sure the chat wants to know. The Heat rig is back from the Commando store. Low profile, fits nicely under what's going on with this guy's legs though down here? It's like he's got a pee or
what
something.
The fuck?
You know what I mean?
He's doing the pigeon toe thing. Yeah. What the hell?
I'm just saying that it looks pretty damn sexy. But
as long as you're not pigeon toeing, weird.
I know, right? I know. All right.
Oh, so Scott, I gave you a ping last night because the universe seemed to have said, "New story, whole new seasonal arc hath begun."
Well, I get the feeling that this is a preview for a main topic story later. And hey, look who's here.
Oh, yeah. Let's give him a second to see if he.
See his video gets fixed. I feel like this story is like a main topic later in the week, getting ready to just burst onto the scene. I think he's gonna have to take a minute to connect there. And so this is a kind of wet the palate, tease, a little teaser, right? And in this, essentially, what we've got is shock of all shocks. Reportedly, combat between Pakistan and the Taliban along the border is escalating. It seems that the Taliban is getting a lot of use of the American equipment that Biden left them. And I saw a map somewhere of where they said, and it's apparently there's like 7 or 8 places where they're exchanging fire along the border. So it's not like just one spot.
Let me grab that map.
And so you can see the Taliban's driving pretty damn fast with those armored cars of theirs.
So my very first thought is probably a lot of other people's very first thought, which basically takes the form of that meme of Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka saying, "No, stop, come back."
No, don't.
But
Don't do it.
But my second thought is, gee, one side of this conflict has nuclear weapons and a hair trigger. Why would you do that?
Well, but here's the thing, right? Like Pakistan and Afghanistan are like, they're literally like cousins who hate each other, you know? I mean,
Right?
and so it's just one of those kind of things where you're just like,
But but here's
mean,
my thing is I could if this
really?
goes on for very long and if it gets very nasty, maybe I'm wrong here, but I do not see the Pakistani government refraining from being like, "Yep, okay, time for nuke." Beep.
Well, no, see, that's just it. I think the Pakistanis only get to use the nuke if their Saudi masters tell them to. I think that's how that works.
Could be.
Yeah, and then this is great. So recently, Lance Corporal Veteran spot on. They recently had a border conflict with Iran. And so I'll be honest with you. I think that was taking advantage of Iran's moment of weakness after they got shellacked by the Israelis, which tends to happen, right? When you have a not so friendly neighbor nearby. Yeah, this is one of those kind of things that not super surprising.
No, not well. I mean, I would say it's not surprising that it's cooking off. It is to me surprising that they chose now.
There, we got it.
Right? Like, hey, welcome, Cannon.
What's
I
going
love
on?
that. I love the backdrop, brother. I mean, it's like
Right?
you're
No,
you're
it's
doing
all-
it right. And are those the Marvel Universe covers?
Yeah.
I see. I love it. Like I've only got you as a really small little. Let me
Yeah,
blow that up so I can
let's-
see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
All
Nice.
from Burlington Coat Factory and wherever else I see the stuff. And don't worry, guys. Those are all Orby guns. Those are all Orbeez from Temu.
Yeah. They're all airsoft, right? Yeah. No
Yeah,
problem.
yeah. That's all it is. Enhanced
Now,
chokers.
Canada, did you see that the Pakistan and Afghanistan started fighting each other again?
No, this is crazy.
I know, right? It's pretty. I mean, it's just one of those kind of things. Like the world said, Scott needs more content for his future conflict channel.
And again, I have to be fair about this because this is the only part of this that makes me go, "Wait, what?"
Those look real familiar.
Yeah, they do, right? And here's the deal: it's not like they started fighting each other. Afghanistan decided to launch an attack on Pakistan.
Jeez.
Right? Yeah. This is literally and so here's what I think. I remember seeing the news about this last week, and I think what happened was that Pakistan hit TTP. That's basically the Pakistani Taliban within both Baluchistan, which is where, if I remember correctly, the TTP has some centers of operation, but they also operate on the Afghan side of the border as well because, they're the Pakistan Taliban. But they're distinct and different from the, the Quetta or whatever, the actual Taliban who run Afghanistan. So pretty interesting to see this. I always love it when Afghans are fighting, their Muslim brothers because it's the religion of peace, of course.
Yeah. The peace of the grave.
I thought they'd be converging to join forces against another group of people.
Well, the irony is, Cannon, is like
that's a hard target, Cannon. They don't want that smoke. They've seen what that done for their neighbors. They don't want none of that.
Cannon, here's the funny thing. India has talked about working with the Taliban in Afghanistan to help counterbalance against Pakistan. I mean, that's
Really?
how weird this is. Right. Yeah, yeah. Even
That's
though Al-Qaeda has bases and is aligned directly with, which Al-Qaeda is back in Afghanistan too, if you didn't know.
Mm.
And then, of course, ISIS hates the Taliban and wants to fight them. So it's just really, really ironic.
Wait, hold on. So there.
Get a good old Royal Rumble going,
Well, I was just gonna say, has it come full circle? Can we start calling them the Brave Mujahideen fighters again?
I'm just saying, it's like a Royal Rumble happening. This is crazy. There's so much going on in the world right now.
And I just can't wait to get stuck into the austere rural scholars of Hamas.
Right.
As those get disseminated, yeah.
Real quick, let's hit the second link there, because this is like the first one was part 1, and this next one is kind of part 2. It's like how it started, now how it's going.
Do I have it? Okay, I did have the right one.
Yeah. So Pakistan continues firing artillery and air to surface missiles along the Afghan border. According to a press conference they held a few hours ago, they claimed they've captured 19 outposts in Afghanistan. Yeah. So I thought that was a pretty good fucking shot.
That's going to be counter battery fire too.
No, counter battery fire is when they fire at other artillery pieces.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You'd put it. Isn't that where you'd put an artillery piece?
No, this is a point target.
Oh,
right. Normally, so remember, artillery is normally indirect fire, meaning they can't see the target. Right. You get like a grid, like a grid location or a polar mission or something like that. Yeah. And then you figure your little math, calculus problem out, and then you plot it, and then you move the gun, and then you fire. Right. It's trigonometry or whatever. It's like, I have a degree in art, so fuck if I know how they do it. That's what artillery typically is, right? This is what's called direct where they can see it. Now, counter battery is where, like, if say on the other side of this hill, like on the far side, like Taliban had some cannons and they shot their cannons over the hill, and it kind of landed around this artillery piece because it got spotted by this outpost up here. That would be counter battery fire.
I was thinking in a silly manner. I was thinking with our equipment and our strategies. That's where we used to drop little artillery forward fire bases, like in Vietnam and that kind of thing.
Oh well, I mean, these are the border outposts, so they're mostly like 5-man outposts that sit on these ridge lines that can they can see great, but there's not a lot of real estate on top of these ridge lines. Ask me how I know.
Bad day.
Like I said, ask me how I know how much fucking. All right. Cannon, what's been up with you, brother?
Nothing much. I've been doing a lot of short videos now, or I guess I've been on TikTok a lot. And IG. I've been actually growing pretty good with my going back to doing my rants and then doing my show maybe once or twice a week. So it's actually been, paying off for me. I've been kind of leaving the YouTubes alone because every time I do go live, some reason they snatch my video down. So I've been on Kick. So building the audience over on Kick. I kind of like it. I like it over there. They don't mess with me. I can demonstrate stuff with my guns and excuse me. I can demonstrate stuff with my guns and they don't mess with me. And all, we do movie nights and all that other good stuff over there. You guys got to get over on Kick.
You're gonna miss out. They got Mountain Readiness coming up this month here down at Brushman. I'm sorry, I'm chewing ice.
That's all good.
Wrong. But anyway, they're doing it down at the G Camp down in North Carolina.
Oh, really? When is it?
Yeah. Is it this week, Watcher? Is it next week?
Next week.
Yeah. Son still has football season. From one of the coaches.
Yeah, I remember in the spring saying, "Oh, I'll definitely be there for October." Like, I don't know if I can make it in the summer, but I'll definitely be there in October. Now here I am in October, and of course, well, I'm not there. So
indisposed. Yeah.
How's the bridge? I am Bob says, how's the bridge?
I know. I was going to ask you the same thing.
Non-existent. Maryland's broke. Okay.
Oh my God.
The prices on.
Gotta be like
how bad it's gotten. They've raised the prices on vehicle registration to the point where people have to have a payment plan to pay for their vehicle registration.
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
I'm dead serious. And then the nickel and diamond people. So I just got $120 speeding ticket. So what they do is they drop the speeding, they drop the speed limit on the highway. They dropped it 10 miles per hour, and then in like certain zones, and then they put the speed cameras out there. So instead of doing 55, you got to drop down to 45, and then once you hit like 60, or they send you to some crazy out of control ticket. I mean, that's not even like cruising. It's not even cruising speed. 45 miles an hour on the highway. It's supposed to be 55. So if you drop it to 45 and then we do 65 or 60, now we got some crazy astronomical speeding ticket in the mail. Maryland ain't right. Westmore is not right. They want president.
I don't want a barracks lawyer here, man. So you better check with somebody about this. But I do know that a lot of times when they temporarily drop the speed limit on a highway, a lot of times the tickets they issue aren't valid because it actually, in most states, not all states, but in most states, it actually takes an act of the state legislature in order to change the speed limit on any portion of any highway.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Thanks for telling me that one. I know a couple people.
So
I know a couple people. This is absurd. It's causing more traffic, and I think that the quote unquote construction that they've been doing on the highway since like the early 2000s that's never been finished is just a front so they can just catch people speeding.
Yeah, that didn't surprise me. I mean, the problem is the government is not a trusted actor, right? I mean, these people are self-interested in their very kind of like existence, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they want to run that guy for president. This guy is terrible. He's a cool guy. Like, he's a cool guy when you're talking to him. Like, he's like, oh, he kind of, but no, politics, no, I can't mess with him. I'm like, yo, you're horrible. Like,
politicians are almost always like that, except for like really, really far leftist ones.
Yeah, that's like that's what I always heard about Barack Obama, right? He's super personable, like when you talk to him. Well, yeah, that's great. What did you read? Did you read his book? Do you know the things that he's for?
Right.
I mean, it's kind of like
he had dreams about making love to men. He told that to his girlfriend in college.
And like doing cocaine was like no big deal.
Yeah, go ask Larry Sinclair about that one. Just saying. Yeah,
just as slimy as Newsom. Really,
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for my friend to hit me back because I need him to do my class. So my fault. Okay, like I was 6 days over from renewing my carry permit here in Maryland. Now, a few years ago, before when I renewed it, they gave you up to a year to renew. And so you got up to a year to renew. If you missed that window, then you got to do everything over. No, Maryland passed a law where if you miss your renewal date, you got to do everything over again.
No grace period.
I'm like, come on. So now I got to sit through a 16-hour class and do all that dumb shit again. So I got to go sit at my friend's room and sit through this class.
Canon that said something about shall not being infringed. So I mean, if you put yourself through that, that's on you, brother.
Well, they ought to offer I'm just saying, this is on the instructors. They ought to offer an advanced version then for people who are having to re-up, where you don't just go through the exact same shit again. You can go through a more advanced version of that, assuming that the person already had the initial version.
Allegedly, there are some instructors out there with some remorse. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
I can't confirm or deny, there are some instructors like that's some bullshit. I mean, let me take care of you. But all the instructors I know are on the level, okay, guys, they're on the level. All right.
That's
right.
It's
crazy. DC did the same thing because I had to renew both of them at the same. First off, DC only give you 2 years for your permit.
So stupid.
Like my Utah and my Pennsylvania give me 5. So, which is weird. And then even with Utah gives you like 6 months to make sure you get it done. And I forgot what Pennsylvania is, but Maryland and DC, they're terrible. They're terrible. They just don't want you to have it. So now they want to make it so that you don't feel like doing it again. But I'm like, nope.
This is what you call an onerous kind of like, condition for, But yeah. All right. Hey, we're gonna jump into no tactical-wisdom.com today and no bro speeder. We're just gonna go straight into segment number 1 here. Hamas, Astur scholars. Astur rural scholars, but that was too long for the title. So basically, essentially what we've got is Trump has arrived in Israel. He just spoke at the Knesset. Immediately, a bomb goes off in Cairo, evidently, and the hostages were released. The last of the living hostages. Oh, by the way, all the remaining hostages that were alive were all men. And there's video of them like kissing the terrorists who are releasing them.
Which, as we knew from earlier prisoners, we knew that it was like, do this or we'll kill you.
Yeah, there's 2 types, right? There's the people who are willing to basically do anything to get the fuck out of there, which I kind of understand, but ultimately, you would hope that we wouldn't do that, but it's kind of like a walk a mile in my shoes, right? And then there's there are some that are, what is it? What do they call it? Stockholm syndrome, right? Where they, basically, empathize with their hostage takers. So I'm sure there's a little bit of both there.
Yeah, I wonder how many of those hostages are now Manchurian candidates. I
mean, some of them might be. But here's the thing: you capture some like these hippies at that rave party out in the desert, right? I mean, how many of them were basically pro Hamas to begin with, right?
Actually, that's legitimately what the concert was for.
Really?
Right.
Like, it wasn't like pro Hamas, but it was like end the war.
Free Palestine.
They were doing it. They were doing it right on the border of Palestine because they were like, it's as close as we can get. Maybe they can hear us, kind of shit.
It's a great sentiment. The problem is that it was totally unrealistic. All right, so let's look at this first video here. This is a 30-second clip of Donald Trump at the.
This is not only the end of a war. This is the end of an age of terror and death, and the beginning of the age of faith and hope and of God. It's the start of a grand concord and lasting harmony for Israel and all the nations of what will soon be a truly magnificent region. I believe that so strongly. This is the historic dawn of a new Middle East.
Fine words. Here's the problem, right? I think everything will probably go fine except for the Hamas piece. And I think Hamas is going to fuck it up for everybody.
Somebody's going to renege on the deal.
And right, and I think that'll be Hamas, because Hamas is the only one that ultimately loses, right? Because they have to disband, they have to disarm, they have to disband, and then they have to basically, none of the people who are involved in Hamas can then become part of the government, right? So you're a triple loser if you're Hamas, right? Now, the whole point is like they have to admit that they lost, and all of Palestine, right? The Gaza Strip and the Palestinian people, they said, "Yep, we're out. We're done. Yeah, we lost. Whatever. We're willing to take the deal, except for Hamas, right?" And so we're gonna kind of show. I know there's a bunch of other clips of Trump out there, kind of saying some stuff, and I'm sure that was a great speech. But here's the problem, and this is another problem. This is a problem from the other side, right? The pro-Trump, pro-Israel side, right? And this is how you lose credibility super quick, in my book, when you're a conservative voice and you come to this level. So play this next clip here. This is Steve Bannon and Jack Posobiec.
Jack, you've been on many of these trips with the president. You followed this very closely from the beginning. You and I covered this live on the day that it happened, October 7th. It was a Saturday. Your thoughts this morning as we await the president's arrival on Air Force One?
Well, Steve, this is nothing short of historic. The scenes we're seeing are absolutely biblical, and there are posters now going up in Jerusalem that I'm seeing just go viral on social media saying that Cyrus the Great has returned, and they are referring to President Trump as Cyrus the Great. I see the crowds cheering there. The Persian leader who came in but also was able to provide peace to this area after they viewed him as a liberator, of liberating them from the Babylonians. And seeing this new covenant, seeing this new deal that is being put in place, I mean, it's nothing short of biblical. It's nothing short of biblical, and I don't know how anyone who's a believer can be watching these scenes, can be seeing this all happening, and not going back and brushing up on our Old Testament. To say that it's Nobel Prize worthy almost doesn't even do it justice to the magnanimity of what we're seeing before our eyes here.
Okay, so let me just say, I think Trump has done an amazing job with this thing, and I think one of the things that he did that no other president that I've ever seen do is basically stand up to Netanyahu and the kind of the Israeli contingent inside the because here's the thing, Trump is not on anybody's side except for Trump's side. And the good news is Trump is also for America, right? And so because of that, he is looking out for what he believes is America's interest. And it's kind of like any president that does that is probably not all bad. And so that said, like biblical, Cyrus the Great. This is...
They got to stop the canonizing.
Canonizing Trump over this is absolutely like not the way to go. I don't get it. I don't understand it. This is not over with. It's not like the Hamas is so overawed by Trump's presence that they basically, we're throwing down our arms and we're throwing ourselves at your feet, your mercy. No, here's the problem. You say all this stuff, right? And like, oh, Trump makes all these speeches. Here's what's going to happen. By the end of this week, probably, Israel is going to be dropping bombs on Hamas again.
Yeah, this is just, we'll be right back after these messages. You know what I mean?
Well, but this is a part of the process to go down the, and I think what you have to do is separate Hamas from the rest of the people in Gaza. And when you do that, then you have an opportunity to actually go after the cancer within the Palestinian population, the Gazan population, and eliminate Hamas. Now, that's not the only cancer that's in there, and it'll be years before you kind of completely narrow that down. But Hamas is the biggest problem today. And I mean, Hamas is basically taking a victory tour at this point right now inside Gaza. Like, okay, go ahead and just play this next clip there, Watcher. So this is yeah, we don't need the audio. This is a Hamas victory parade down the shuttered streets of Gaza City. No asphalt, only dust, rubble, and ruins. Hamas holds a victory parade. Children run bare feet through the wreckage, past collapsed buildings and burnt homes. This is what they call victory, a parade through destruction, celebration of death. What reality are we living in? Right. So this is These are Hamas. This is the people who were, basically hunkered down in the tunnels in the bunker, right? And yeah, people, I could see how kids might think, yeah, these guys are cool. I mean, because as a kid, you have no sense-making apparatus in your head. You just, you idolize people who stand up for, things, but these adults know what's what, and they know these people are fucking barbarians. And I count 5 pickup trucks. That may be the totality of all their pickup trucks.
I doubt it. I bet.
I know. My point is, Hamas has these pickup trucks, but regular people are more likely to have this little donkey cart that went by going the other way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not only that. Look, they're in a situation where they're powerless. They're powerless because of.
There's your
Hamas.
donkey cart up there. See right there. You got your donkey cart.
The kids in particular probably don't understand that because Hamas runs all the schools. Hamas runs literally
100%. Yeah, they are completely indoctrinated.
So not only that, but what I wanted to say is that they're in a situation where they're powerless. They don't understand that it's Hamas that makes them powerless, but they do see that Hamas in this powerless situation are the only ones who appear to have any kind of control whatsoever. That's cool to any kid in any society. Anywhere. That's why you get gangsters. It's why you get the Russian mob. It's why all of this shit exists.
Yeah. Now I got a question for you guys because I wasn't in the military, and I know you guys have, ample experience. Could they have been more surgical in this attack on Hamas in Palestine instead of just carpet bombing?
Well, so they didn't carpet bomb.
So they've never that is so you've been hearing a crap ton of propaganda. This is literally one of the most precision struck wars that's ever been fought. If you look at civilian casualties compared to any war, including the wars we just got done fighting in Afghanistan and Iraq, it's unbelievable how precise Israel has been, which is part of why you can literally discount anybody who says the words genocide ever. Just oh my God.
So just let me tell you, Ken. So essentially, you have one of the most densely populated areas in the Middle East, right? The Gaza Strip, and then you've got an organization that essentially, has spent all the aid money that they've received for the people of Gaza. They spent it all on tunnels and survivability and weapons and all this kind of stuff, right?
Well, and so, to the degree, let
me finish my thing, and then you can recapitulate your argument. So that's the reality of what Gaza was prior to the fighting. So when the fighting's and so Israel always had a history of doing what's called door knocking on buildings before they would drop them. So what they would do is they would drop a smaller missile that basically just might have blown up a room or something like that on the top floor of the building, or dropped a small bomb on the very top of the building. And then they would also call all the cell phones in the area saying, hey, get out of this building. We're going to blow it up. And then they'd get all the people out of the building, and then they would drop multiple 2,000-pound bombs on it and then drop the building. That was a kind of a TTP that the Israelis did before October 7th, right? So essentially what they did was they did that to the entire, everywhere that was their operational area within. And so they identified pockets of resistance. But the difference this time around was that Hamas actively wouldn't let people leave the buildings. So when people died in buildings, right, and they've bandied about numbers of 60,000, and I'll be honest with you, I think 60,000 is probably about right. What is amazing is that with as much bomb, I mean, you've seen the landscape there, right? It's literally completely rubble, as much as anything I've seen since World War II.
Right.
Only 60,000 people were killed in that.
Oh no, I'm not talking about genocide, right?
No.
But we're talking about even under those conditions, it was only 60,000 people killed. When you have Hamas literally guarding the doors to large high-rise apartments, saying,
I agree with that part.
We'll shoot you.
I was like, damn, every building was level. You know what I mean? I was just
and
could they be a little more surgical going in, maybe some pipe hitters going in there and taking some people out? versus
well,
just,
and there was a little bit of
okay.
that. I mean, so you had commandos and you had infantry units and things like that that would go in and clear out like nests of resistance, and then you had they'd go in with ground forces and they had a lot of casualties,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and let's be clear, like they had a lot of casualties even when the ground forces are in like they're in specially designed armored bulldozers that the entire purpose is to try and prevent like we're going to come knock down the walls so that the guys can shoot the guys who need to be shot and try not to shoot any of the guys who don't need to be shot. All right, so now you're shooting RPGs that are bulldozers. Utter insanity, and it's crazy to talk about them like that. This has been. Here's the deal. Could they have knocked down less buildings? Theoretically, if Hamas had decided not to hide in every single building, then yes. But why do you have to expose your people on the ground to more harm because of a tactic that your enemy is using?
And Watcher, can you share the link that I just put in?
Oh, which one? Oh, yeah, sure. And then the other point I just wanted to make to reinforce what Scott said is like it's not only like every penny that's gone into it. Like, let's put it this way: like there was an international body that was like 5 or 6 nations. They all raised money. They put in a sewer system all throughout Gaza. They came in and did the installation of it because they knew that the funds had been wasted in the past. Do you know what almost all of Hamas's rockets, the bodies of them, are made out of?
No.
The pipe from that sewer.
The iron pipe from that sewer system that they have systematically yanked out of all the streets in order to use as munitions.
Wow.
So I like so you just shared share the full link that I sent you, which is the Green Beret nap time I want to get both of that. So the first one is my little brother in Gaza sent me this. They can't return to their home because it's beyond the yellow line, is now fully occupied by Israel. This is a classic ethnic cleansing and land grab, pushing indigenous people into smaller and smaller corners while we try to act like we're evolved.
Is that like the phase 1 or the move back? Because like I know they had like 3 phases.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. I think this is phase 1, but then I like the postscript that the Green Beret nap time put and basically said, moral of the story, don't start a war you can't win and then cry about it like a child on the internet. So this is exactly
literally the history of Gaza, though. What he said there. That's literally the entire history of Gaza.
Yeah. And so very interesting to see how this whole thing has developed. I think we have, basically what's been going on with the with Hamas in the streets since all this began.
Yeah.
And now there's another video along this line, but they actually shoot somebody in it, so I'm not going to show it. So if you remember a couple months ago, we reported about how there was conflict between Hamas because some of the kind of gangster-like families, and they're, it's basically gangsters versus terrorists at this point. The gangster-like families and clans that had kind of used, force in order to secure foodstuffs and things like this that were almost entirely seized by Hamas. And I think we showed some of the armed convoys of aid trucks, that were seized. That was mostly by those clans because, it's kind of like they take care of their own, right? Well, now Hamas has now started fighting against Gazan clans that oppose their rule. The fighting is taking place in the areas where the Israeli army has withdrawn from ahead of the hostage regime.
That's what I was going to ask too, because I get like I think Trump's doing a really good job as far as like trying to facilitate some kind of ceasefire or some peace. I just don't believe it's going to hold. Now, as Israel backs out, right, or they start to move back to that buffer zone that they said they're supposed to move back to, this gives Hamas a chance to recalibrate and regroup and take back over and get dug in more, right?
Yeah, well, And so this, what you're seeing with these, with Hamas fighting these clan groups is essentially. So here's one of the things that's telling about this is Hamas is not as strong as they used to be, because these clan groups mostly kind of kept their heads down. It was very kind of local security, and hey, the only people they really fought were other criminals, right? But that's not the case now. If they're going toe to toe with Hamas, this shows that Hamas is weakened, and they are. And it also shows that that essentially there's got to be a reckoning, within the Palestinian population in Gaza before anybody can claim to speak for the Gazan people, and that may or may not involve more fighting from Israel.
I will say there is one little bit of.
Oh yeah. You know what? I was going to share this link with you. Watch, I literally have it open in my browser to share.
Yeah, I was going to say. So a man who has died so many times.
Palestinian journalist and activist Saleh Al-Jafari was killed in Gaza City during internal clashes. So shockingly, the bullet that gets this guy is a Palestinian bullet. He was reportedly shot multiple times while filling in Al Sabra. His death was confirmed by the Al Ayub Arab Hospital, and there's an Well, but here's the thing: there's an actual picture of his. Well, there's a picture of his body actually in the thread, I think.
There is, and I've seen it, and we probably shouldn't show. Well, I don't know. I saw one just a second ago that wasn't too
it was
bad.
Yeah, it was just his face that I saw.
So does he exist or does he not exist?
Well,
no, he exists.
He definitely exists, and he's faked his death for like donations and to say that he was a victim of bombings. Like
he's a crisis
so
actor
many times that it's unfucking believable.
But evidently he's really dead now. No, I was gonna say evidently he's dead. Yeah.
And looking into it, the reason that he's probably dead is that he's well known amongst the Gazans for having like set up a couple of different like side charities and then stolen all that funding directly for himself.
Oh wow.
So
got us a scammer on the ground. Jeez.
I mean, this guy is this what you call a piece of work.
Yeah, hold on. There you go. Actually finally dead this time.
What? I've seen some of these crisis actors. They're good.
Yeah. I like this one guy in the comments basically says fake being killed by Israel 100 times gets killed by a fellow Gazan.
Irony.
So, Cannon, I'm really interested to get so we're going to change gears here real quick, and we're going to move to the local Antifa losers. I want to get your take on where you're at with Antifa, and have you been following all the news with, all the funding sources that has come out and the foreign terrorist organization designation. You had the big anti-Antifa summit over, what was it? Was it today's Wednesday, right? Or was today Monday or Wednesday? Monday.
Today is Monday.
Yeah, it's one of those weekends where I have to work. So I guess it was, what was the thing? Was it last weekend, Watcher, or was it Thursday, like the Antifa roundtable at the White House? Last Thursday, right? Or Wednesday? Yeah. Wednesday or Thursday. Yeah. Anyway, point is that have you caught up with that? And are you tracking?
I haven't. I've been so focused on ICE in Chicago and stuff like that. I haven't even heard about this anti-Antifa conference. This is interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff. But so we're gonna start here with this first story. So anything about Tom Homan, I love it because I like that guy. Homan says DOJ probing funding behind By the way, they said Homan supposedly took $50,000 or something like that.
He was a private citizen.
I feel like they didn't give him enough. I feel like he should have got $100,000 for whatever it is, because we're not paying this man enough.
I agreed, but I will add he was a private citizen at the time, not working for the government.
And if my understanding is he didn't take the money, if I remember correctly.
I think that's correct too.
Yeah. The Trump administration borders our Tom Homan said that the Justice Department has launched an investigation into the sources of the funding of what he called the organized attack on federal immigration enforcement agents amid escalating clashes. So, like, for instance, you referenced Chicago. You had the kind of the vehicular kind of attack, where there was some gunplay. This is going to be a much more common thing, I think, in the near future. In an interview, Homan said a recent violence directed at ICE personnel and facilities in Portland, Los Angeles, and Chicago goes beyond spontaneous protests and reflects coordinated logistics, including standardized gear and weaponry amongst demonstrators. Death threats, attacks up over 1,000%. You've got 300 people show up with the same mask, same shield, same weapons. They're all going to do the same mini mart and buying the same stuff? No, they're being supplied to them. They're being paid to do this, Homan said. He said the DOJ officials are all over this and are working to identify those who may be financing the organized riots targeting the federal officers. And they're talking about using RICO statutes. Another quote from him: "They will find out who's funding this and they will be held accountable." And let's see, there's a couple other quotes from him. We're out there enforcing laws. There's no free pass here. If you're here illegally, you cross the border illegally, it's a crime. We're going to look for you. They're wearing fatigues and they're carrying long guns downtown Chicago, Michigan Avenue. This is the purpose of this. This is Pritzker talking about the ICE folks. And so the irony here is that ICE is not looking for a granny who's been here on an overstay visa for 20 years. They're not looking for her. They're looking for her grandson who is
Santiago,
an illegal or he's a gangbanger or something like that. And she just happens to be there and they say, "Let me see your papers," because they check everybody's papers and she doesn't have, and so she gets deported. That's how that happens, right? Nobody's looking for granny. They're looking for the drug dealers. They're looking for the people with criminal warrants and all this kind of stuff. I mean, you wouldn't believe the number of criminal warrants that a lot of these illegals are carrying around. And because of these sanctuary cities like Chicago and LA and DC and Seattle and Portland, they are literally, not, okay, we see you're illegal. We see that you've been charged with this. Well, we're going to get you out of here and we're going to protect you. It's clown shoes. These people in these places care more about illegal aliens than they do regular people. And the funny thing is the response that I've been seeing. And you know what, Cannon, there was this guy from Michigan that was commenting. No, not Michigan, Memphis. He was commenting on the surge in Memphis. And he basically said that, I wasn't against this. I wasn't for Trump or whatever. But after seeing this, and and I thought it was really interesting to see, because this is like real talk from a guy who's on the street,
But this is also the thing too. In Chicago, the people in the south side of Chicago, they're making videos saying, "No, we not against this. We've been arguing for somebody to come in and deal with it." They're saying that the people that's down there getting in the way, he said you got a couple of the YNs and a few people in the neighborhood that might be protesting. They said, but the vast majority of the people that's protesting against ICE and coming down there and blocking them and doing this is people from the north side, people from these well-to-do neighborhoods in Illinois. They're coming down into the south side of Chicago doing this. The people that live in those neighborhoods are like, no. Now, and you see them taking up for ICE now, where it's like the one major building they went in, like the raid. It was like, no, that was overrun with gang members. Yeah, it was a couple of black residents or whatever, but they said, but overwhelmingly gang members. Thank you for coming in there and taking them out of here. And that's what you're seeing. That's what we're seeing. And that's what you see when you actually dig deep on it. But it's a lot of people that's coming in, which I would argue they're down there protesting it because they don't want them to spread into their neighborhood. You know what I mean? But a lot of people are happy that ICE came into Chicago and they're starting to clean it up, because I did a video about a week or two ago, and I said, I remember a year ago when people were having city-town meetings or town, council meetings, saying we need them out of here. I remember people crying because it was rec centers that were being turned into shelters. There were schools being closed and remodeled to be turned into shelters. Chicago was giving $7,000 checks to illegals. They were giving them free apartments and furniture stipends.
Unreal.
All stuff and resources that are coming out of the taxpayers, the taxpayers' pocket, and the people in Chicago and the people in the south side of Chicago aren't getting any of these resources. You got people who can't keep their lights on. You got people that my kid went to the school last week and now he can't go to school here, and he got to go all the way over here to go to school because they turned the school into a migrant shelter. And they're upset and they're so excited that ICE is there, and they're like, no, it ain't us. It's these well-to-dos that's coming down here saying this.
Here's what I predict will happen within the next 2 weeks. Right, you're gonna have the National Guard in some of these areas, and you're gonna have Trump show up, and you're gonna have all of these, city folk that are like, everything's better since Trump sent the troops in, and so you saw the pictures. These are the National Guard that were in Memphis, and then let's play that. Go ahead.
This is too good because I saw probably the best meme I've seen on the internet recently, which was 2025 BCE. You're a provincial soldier called from the outlying regions to defend to defend the pyramids and Thebes. 2025 AD. You are a provincial soldier called from the outlying regions to defend the pyramids in Memphis.
Well, Memphis was a place in Egypt.
It is, and they also had the pyramids there. Yeah.
Is that Bass pyramid real?
Yeah, that's real.
Oh, wow.
Real. So,
Mecca.
We had some pictures of National Guard from Chicago, and let's just be honest, there were some big boys in that group. So evidently, the Secretary of War saw this.
Yeah, this is breaking.
Some Texas National Guard troops were placed in Illinois after failing to meet standards.
I've seen a couple of them get off the truck. I was like, they're a little heavy.
Yeah, height and weight. You gotta get past height and weight before you can get your picture taken by the media. And there's something to that. I mean, you don't want to put soldiers in front of media that don't present the image that you want to show. I mean, that's just. Like, so for instance, as a PAO in my day, like the things that I would do is like, all right, does everybody have iPro on? Does everybody have gloves on? Right? It's like, do you have all the pieces? Like, do you have your chin strap on your helmet on? I mean, it's like all that stuff seems stupid, but the problem is not like random ass grandma who sees a picture of that, because she's never going to notice that stuff. The problem are always the veterans who see that shit. And it's just like, oh my God, it's like, so you've got to be aware of that. I found, do the video. This is the guy from Memphis. And this is, you heard it in DC. Now you're hearing it in Memphis. You're going to hear it in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Everywhere they put these, Elon Musk is calling for them to send troops into San Francisco, and so are a couple of the other .com billionaires. So go ahead and play this clip.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. I think it's true time. I was against pretty much everything that was coming towards Memphis. I was against this National Guard, all these different police units, all this military, all this shit. I was against all this shit coming to the end, right? Especially when I was the one learning shit about Memphis and how the crime been down 25% than it has in like hella years and shit. Like, Memphis been doing good. We just had the most peaceful summer in a long little time. Just for these folks to still come with this shit. I was against this shit, bro. And then I seen the numbers after the first week of rounding up niggas. These folks then got 16 convicted murderers off the streets in 1 week. Black people. I know there's a lot of Memphis folks talking about all the niggas gone now and they over here, the police pulling over all the good, hard-working people. Hey, if that was the case, I'm sorry. But I can't wholeheartedly say they doing a bad thing now that I just seen them numbers, bro. I'm gonna just be honest. And I'm a real Memphis nigga. I love my city. I love once again, nigga, this where I'm at. As I wait on the motherfucking bus, I'm in the heart of this shit. I love this shit. But I would be lying if I ain't just read them numbers and say, damn, that's a good thing for Memphis. So, I'm out of this, y'all. I ain't got no more commentary on this National Guard shit being here, the police, the over police. I ain't got shit to say to that, bro, because it's kind of hard for me to say they doing us wrong when they really getting convicted fucking murderers. And fellas with guns off the street, bro. Hey, bro. Y'all just be easy, bro. Be easy.
I mean, you can't argue with the truth.
No, you can't. And then I got friends in DC when DC had the guard in there. They like, look, yo, I don't like Trump at all, yo. He said, but he said, it's quiet out here. He said, I can walk down the street. I ain't got no problems. I got to look over my shoulder. There ain't no nonsense going on. He said he got these YNs on the run. And they said it's quiet out here. It's peaceful. And if he's like, I ain't seen not one person car with they window broken into and all. They said he was like, yo, I don't like Trump. He said, but he did us a solid. And I'm like, I told you. And then
it was like Giuliani in New York, right? Like, you know, he barely got elected in New York, but then like everybody loved him, you know, because he got rid of all the crime. He cleaned up New York, and they didn't do it by being like heavy-handed. Right. I mean, you can say the stop and frisk was heavy-handed. I don't think that's super heavy-handed.
I don't think so either. And I told people that. So I did a video about it wasn't even really a video. It was you know how like on TikTok you see the person sitting there and then like they got the caption. I did a caption saying, you know, what's the murder rate in DC now, asking for a friend or something like that. Mm-hmm. When Chicago and is Maryland next. So one of my friends went to school, a longtime friend, taking me to task on my IG. It's violating your Fourth Amendment because you're a Second Amendment. I said, I get you. I said, should the National Guard have to come into DC and these other cities to get it under control? I said, no. I said, so, but what do you do when you got a mayor and you got a governor who hamstring the police? What do you do when you got a mayor and a governor that don't let you take care of it? Meaning, if somebody tried to jack you and you get the best of them and you pop them, they demonize you and they victimize the person that tried to rob you. What do you do in that situation? I said, so what you want to do is look the other way? I said, because if you want to look the other way, you the problem too. As I'm tired of seeing people look, like, it's funny how you hear all of these cities, right, that Trump talking about going into to get it under control, talking about, oh, our crime is down 25%. So all you cities just magically got this 25% number now? Because that's the third time I heard the 25% thing, because Maryland said 25%, DC said 25%. Now I'm hearing the dude in Memphis talking about down 25%. And I'm pretty sure Chicago said 25% too.
That's because they're the Democrat city, you know, governments are basically just telling them something to make them.
And I know Maryland,
or they're jinking the numbers to get something, you know, like, oh, violent crime might be up, but you know, property crimes are down by 25%.
Because Maryland's cooking the books right now. Like I know that they're reclassifying crimes.
Hold on,
but
you know exactly how. Hold on, I'm sorry. I can tell you.
Hey, before you start, let me get this super chat here. Lance Corporal veteran for $10. That ain't cheap. Thank you very much. If you overlay all the Antifa riots, it's all port cities and border states. So if they could push secession, they'd landlock the U.S. But it looks like it won't happen with the early response from Trump. Here's the thing: you got to remember, right? Civil War 2.0, if it were to happen, and I'll be honest with you, you could argue that it's underway already. Would be not like state versus state; it would be rural versus city, right? You'd have, like, for instance, Oregon would be like mostly red counties versus islands of blue, right? Exactly. If you want to see look at the county maps for the presidential election. and that will tell you where the red states are, or the red counties are, and where the blue counties are. And you'd be surprised. They don't control. They may control the port city, but they don't control the coast. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Watcher.
I don't remember what I was going to say. What were we talking about before that?
Just talking about
statistics, numbers.
Yeah, like I was saying, but like, I mean, maybe this will jog your memory, but like I was saying, like, and I'm like, what do you do, bro? I said, if I go out here and some dude tries to rob me and I get the best of him and I take him out, I gotta go fight for my life in court, justifying why I just shot a robber, somebody that tried to rob me. Because if I get robbed in Baltimore, mask off, they're gonna kill me. But if I shoot this guy first, now I gotta fight for my life. I'm being demonized in the news. He's being a victim. They showing his fucking middle school pictures and shit on TV, talking about how good of a kid he is. I said when your elected officials are derelict of duty, and you don't have no recourse, then so the National Guard is that bad? I said, you make no sense. I said, I understand the Fourth Amendment. I said, but the National Guard shouldn't have to come in here. Our elected officials should be taking care of it, but they're not. And we can't keep looking the other way on it, because somebody and I'm like, it won't affect you until it affects you. You talking about the Fourth Amendment and this ain't right until your grandmother gets shot, or your little cousin catch a stray bullet at a cookout. Then you all of a sudden you want something done. Yeah. I said, what Trump doing right now, I said, do I think the National Guard? No, I said, maybe I don't think they should have to, but if they got to come in there and get stuff under control, then let them come in and get stuff under control, period.
Yeah.
And he had no argument for that.
Yeah. Well, so I remember what it was I was going to say. So you asked how we got to the 25, how all these cities are arriving in the 25% number. And I can tell you, and it's funny because it relates to something that any military person can understand. First of all, let's go back to something that was widely known and reported on at the time. Well, not widely reported on at the time, but they basically announced when Joe Biden took over that the local departments and the FBI started cooking the books. The FBI said that they were no longer going to record or report crime statistics on various different things, and all of it, by the way, not just like by race, but like, hey, we're just not gonna keep documenting it the way that we have in the past. It's basically the same way that they changed all the other criteria that they did for basically everything. They didn't just change the criteria for crimes. In a lot of ways, they said, hey, you don't have to report these anymore. And because you don't have to report them anymore, a bunch of cities said, okay, we're just going to stop recording them. So that's a part of it. So now you're all in fairy tale numberland when they want to talk about numbers, and they did that on purpose. And the second thing, how do we get at 25%? Well, that's obvious. It's like when an officer comes down the pipeline and says, I want everybody here early. Okay, so the first person that goes to basically decides on a number on what that's going to be, and then the next people down the line understand, well, if we can do slightly better than that, then 5 minutes earlier than that, then we are going to look slightly better than everybody else, right? Or if everybody else is already going to be at least 5 minutes earlier to that, right? And so that's how you go from, hey, I want everybody at the Armory at 6 to everybody showing up at the Armory at 4:15. Because everything gets pushed back by every person down the line there trying to look better, and that's how you end up at the 25%. Is basically you somebody up the line says, hey, we need to show we have an appreciable crime reduction, and then somebody else goes, well, what does appreciable crime reduction mean? And then that gets worked out by committee, and then it gets disseminated down the line to all your Democratic mayors, and then all your Democratic mayors tell that to their police chiefs.
Yeah. All right, let's get back on the. So, all right, I want to get back to the Antifa stuff. This is the Tom Homan article. We can just go to the next one. So, Watcher, this is a blast from the past. Just to remind people, about the tactics that they use. This is from 2020. This is Antifa using. Now, these can be legal green lasers. That being said, even legal green lasers, you're not allowed to use them against somebody's eyes. But I bet these are those imported lasers that are stronger than what is legally allowed in America. That will damage your eye if you don't have a shielded, especially shielded eyewear that will. Yeah.
Well, let's be clear. Even like the red ones that you shine at your pets, if you use them offensively like this, are illegal. That's a. That's
is this considered like, I don't know? Could this be considered deadly force?
Well,
potentially depends on the scenario, but
yeah, I don't know the rules on somebody's like aiming a green laser at your eyes.
What about rubber bullets and 40 mic?
Well, right, that would be if I'm a cop and I have rubber bullets, or if I have less than lethal ammunition and somebody points a laser at my face, then I give them a shot immediately.
Completely, but the other side of this is these people need to be arrested, because this is like absolutely this is attempt to cause great bodily harm.
So I just want to remind people that this whole thing in Portland is not new. These people have been around for a long time. I mean, this is just 5 years ago. We could go back much further and find them back in the late 90s.
Well, and it was just Portland at first with it was Portland and Seattle with the lasers at first, and then one summer.
They got that from the Hong Kong protest. They got the umbrellas from the Hong Kong protesters too.
I know. I'm just talking about how it ended up kind of spreading, how it disseminated around here. Yeah. Is that it started out in just kind of the Portland and Seattle Antifa scene, and then it disseminated from there all throughout the summer of 2020. I'm telling you that within the next 4 to 5 years, basic police officers in basic sections are going to have that the laser eyewear as part of their riot protection gear, and they don't. It's basically just the major metros that have it right now.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's move on with this next story. Antifa mask slips Trump's roundtable. So this is what I was telling you about, Cannon, about the roundtable at the White House. They send shadow NGO network behind Riot Inc. into panic. President Trump's latest roundtable of Antifa wasn't just a political statement. It was a long overdue reckoning against rising far-left political violence. For years, journalists and citizens have watched America's streets burn. But the president meeting revealed Antifa is only one mask worn by a much greater monster, a transnational network of NGOs, foreign financiers, and ideological operatives quietly fueling what Seamus Brunner of the Government Accountability Institute called Riot Inc. So let's play this clip. This is just a reminder of the conference. I know we already covered this, but I want to kind of remind everybody about it, because the whole point is we're going to talk about the response. Like after they do this, how did the networks respond?
Please go ahead.
Mr. President, thank you for having us here and bringing together this panel of brave journalists. By the way, everybody on this side of the room, and
so this is like 3.5 minutes. We're only going to listen to like about the first 30 seconds to a minute. It's pretty good. We actually watched this video already on last week, but I think it's worth showing again.
No one can speak to the violence better than these people here. So I think we know that this is not just a story about violence and chaos, as you alluded to, Mr. President. This is a money story. And at the Government Accountability Institute, my colleague and I, Peter Schweitzer and our team, we followed the money, and we followed it to the top of what we call the protest industrial complex, Riot Inc. And we found a network of NGOs. It's not just the Soros network, the Open Society network, it's other funding networks, the Arabella funding network, the Tides funding network, Neville Roy Singham and his network, Foreign Cash. And it's also big left-wing funders. Some of them are not citizens of this country. Mr. Hans-Jörg Wyss of Switzerland. They're pouring money into this entire ecosystem. And so I want to share 3 money facts with you about what we call Riot Inc. Number 1, like any corporation, Riot Inc. has many divisions. It doesn't just have the Antifa boots on the ground division. It has PR divisions. It has marketing divisions. It has a very well-funded legal division to get these boots on the ground back on the streets as quickly as possible. But it does have those investors that I mentioned. Number 2, we have identified dozens of radical organizations, not just the decentralized Antifa organizations, but dozens of radical organizations that have received more than $100 million from the Riot Inc. investors. These would be the lawyer groups. These would be the groups that advocate for calling good, honest Americans fascists, et cetera. And then 3, I think the most shocking
All right, so this does a good job of kind of breaking it down, and I would recommend you, if you haven't seen it already, check this out. I mean, the entire thing is about an hour and a half, and they broadcast the whole thing, so I would recommend checking it out. It's worth a watch. But it's not just a little bit of money either. It's a lot. Elon Musk said far more than 100 million U.S. Taxpayer funds funneled into NGO fueling chaos, Trump briefed on dark money networks. So, here we have the amounts of money that are going, who they're going to. And I love this picture of the Antifa guy. That's the next post, actually. It's two underneath this one. The Antifa guy getting arrested. Jonathan Coe, a journalist for the Discovery Institute, added that another dimension, one that hits close to home for anybody living on the West Coast. He described how Antifa's organizing hubs are increasingly intertwined with what he called the homeless industrial complex, a web of taxpayer-funded nonprofits that profit off of permanently social decay. Cities like Portland, Seattle, and Los Angeles, all suffering with twin crises of homelessness and anarchy violence, have quietly become laboratories for the merger to sow chaos and the cash flow. So, the idea here is that, if I remember the statistic I got in California was $800,000 per homeless person in Los Angeles County. Where does all that money go? Well, maybe a lot of that money goes into Riot Inc. Maybe it goes to funding these left-wing, you just don't have this on the right. You don't have activist groups that are funded by taxpayer dollars. This is just not something that exists on the right. Lord knows if they did, we'd buy a bunch of guns with all that stuff. And this is what you're seeing here is the Cop City stuff. This was an actual terrorist insurgency attack. And they basically occupied this area, destroyed this construction equipment. Watcher, if I remember correctly, we covered this live 2 years ago.
We did. Yep.
Not live, but when it happened. So it's interesting to see how long this has been going on. Let's see. Coe also revealed deep connections between Antifa networks and the Democratic Socialists of America, the same group that's now running Zoran Mamdani for New York City mayor. Oh man, we haven't talked since that. Cannon, what do you think of that guy? And because I think New York deserves it.
He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. You telling me that you got somebody, you got a Muslim, or you got that's for transgender and all of this other stuff, and he's just saying what people want to hear in order to get elected. And once he gets elected,
he's a chaos agent.
Exactly.
He's here to destroy New York City.
He'll just send New York into to hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as far as those seem like the usual. I haven't heard of some of those names on that list, but a few of them names, those are the usual suspects who fund all of that stuff. I know a lot of people like to just throw Soros's name out there, but there's a long list. You know what I mean? But I would all say that they probably all fall under the same umbrella at one point. But it's nothing new. But at the same time, how do you hit them? You got to hit them. You got to hit them in their pocket, right? Is there a way to I don't know, throw a RICO on them or freeze assets of these companies? Or are they protected? Because they've been doing this for a very long time. Are they just protected? I found it pretty interesting that Soros came out of retirement, right when all this started to go down.
Well, yeah. So that's part of it, right? So essentially, the Democratic, the Democrat, Big D with a Democrat Inc. Is completely infiltrated and subordinate to this whole kind of process. So yeah, I think 100% they're bought and paid for, and they'll protect it to the end. And so we're going to get to that here in a second. Antifa's latest project, Stop Cop City. Well, that's not the latest project, but that's one of their big ones in recent years. Yeah, Rutgers professor calls for militant resistance, then flees to Europe. For years, Rutgers professor Mark Bay, author of Antifa, the Fascist Handbook, was openly defending political violence as part of the anti-fascist resistance in a recent interview. So let's play a little bit of this interview. I'm kind of curious about this.
You guys got me looking at laser eye protection now.
I'm telling you, brother.
Yeah,
they call
that's
them
not a bad
glids.
thing to have.
If I remember correctly, they're like green looking sunglasses. They're called like glids or something. That's what we used to call them.
Like the building's like $30. They got some for $9.
Pinochet's helicopters for $2 over, and Rumble says, "Can the National Guard not use glare mounts anymore? Dazzlers work great even at this." Yeah, I mean, so they are issued eyewear to protect, but that's not like, it doesn't protect against the strobing and the flashing light portion. It just protects against like the laser light, damaging your retina if it hits it. You can still be dazzled with those on. But, all right, so let's play this these two momos.
And so violence is part of it, right? They do think that it needs to be one of the tools in the toolbox. Fight fascists by writing letters so you don't have to fight them with fists. You fight them with fists so you don't have to fight them with guns. You fight them with guns so you don't have to fight them with tanks. And so whatever we can do now to make it clear that we're going to raise hell if this march towards fascism continues, that makes it clear, I think, that there will be opposition, there will be resistance. They can't just do whatever we want. It's not that hard to imagine a situation where we go from peaceful protest and the courts to, okay, now we have to like actually fight back, but like actually fighting, like weapons and combat, or we may get killed. Or not so militant protest throughout history. I don't know the motivations of those individuals, but there are people who have been involved in various kinds of activist movements who show up recognizing that, number one, they don't want to be identified by the police, and number two, they may well get attacked. And then there are some who actually do want to, physically push ICE or the police out of their neighborhood, and that's a part of the, debate among the left is what is the role of those kinds of protest tactics. Members of Antifa groups would be one sort of small facet of the milieu who would think that sometimes is justified. That we need to get out there in the streets, that we need to, escalate our forms of resistance and recognize that if we don't stop this march towards fascism now, then what's happening to migrants from ICE raids could end up happening to anyone who opposes the administration in a few years if we're not out there making it clear that we won't let that happen. And I'm concerned about your kind of average...
Yeah, I'm good. I don't need to hear any more of this guy. I hope we do it to him, but I don't think we should do it to regular people. If you do something illegal,
they're not built for that. I hate when you see these people talk online. They're not built for it. They're not built for violence.
They're going
to
do it anyway.
Violence. They like to talk about all of the stuff, but they're not built for that. They don't know what violence looks like.
You would have said that. Anybody would have said that about the kid who just put a bullet through Charlie Kirk's neck. So, I mean,
right, but
I don't think they're built for it. They're going to try it anyway.
That's cowardly, right? Let's be honest. That's cowardly. That's how a coward.
Would you think he's calling for anything less than that? Of course, it's all cowardly. But you don't have to be brave to do violence.
No, but you could only do that a couple times, right? Then basically everybody, the shields go up, right? And then you're actually going at a hard target.
I think they know exactly what they're doing. This is going to go exactly the way it did last time. It's going to look. They tried these street attacks in the 60s, and it went poorly for them in the 60s for the same reason. And what did they go to next?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. We're on a different trajectory than what we had in the 60s. It's way worse now than it was in the 60s. I mean, and I don't mean the violence is worse, because in point of fact, the 60s got to bombs and all that kind of stuff. We just haven't got there yet, but we have a much fertile ground, and you've got a lot more people who have been brainwashed into this way of thinking now that will be the kind of fertile ground to recruit these far left extremists from. I mean, let's be honest. Outside of some elite universities, you really didn't have anybody who was into that stuff I mean, you had the hippies, but the hippies weren't interested in violence, right? Now you've got people who, well, if you kill somebody who supports Trump, that's okay because this is what Punch a Nazi was all about, 10 years ago, right? It was all about conditioning people that violence is okay against a certain group of people. If we call this person a Nazi, we can punch them. Well, and he just said, you use your fists so you don't have to use a gun. Use a gun so you don't have to use a tank. Because, if you can't punch a Nazi, then you got to shoot him. That's exactly what they did with Charlie Kirk. And so
they start shooting back, and then they're going to cower up, and they're going to fucking go hide.
Right,
and then they'll start mailing bombs. I'm telling you.
I don't disagree.
It's what they'll do this time.
I don't disagree with you, but the point is that we have an anti-terror we have an experience with terrorism that the cops in the 60s didn't have. Let's just say that.
You thinking Weather Underground type situation, huh, Watcher?
It's literally the people from the Weather Underground who are leading this movement.
Well, the Weather Underground weren't really hippies. The Weather Underground were intellectual elitists and Marxists, right? Hippies, for the most part, weren't Marxists. They were kind of more left-wing libertarians, right? They wanted to be left alone. They wanted to tune in, turn on, drop out, right? They wanted to leave society. They wanted to get and they actually set up farming communes and did it for years versus the lefties now who are like, oh, let's go and chicken farm out in the country, and they do it for a week and they're like, fuck this is too hard, I don't have Wi-Fi. Jim's actually
literally high-ranking weathermen are literally
Jim says the difference now is we live in an actual surveillance state, and if they start using bombs again, you'll see a whole bunch of Wacos on these groups.
Okay, right, because we know who planted those pipe bombs on J6, don't we? Or J5.
Well,
I think somebody might know.
Some people know who those people are. Just like some people know exactly what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. Yet the Trump family still doesn't know what happened.
That's kind of my point.
I see what you're saying, Watcher.
That's that's just it. The people that Cannon's talking about that aren't built for this, those aren't the people who are talking, right? There are other people.
No. I'm talking about the surveillance state aspect of this. You guys all assume that the portions of that surveillance state are going to turn these people in. The same people who've been protecting them since 2016 and beyond.
I see what you're saying, Watcher. You do got a point with that.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying it's not those aren't the only aspects of the state. It's like there's a war within the state, right? And that's what's interesting to see. Unfortunately, the people who are siding with Trump and are eager to carry out his, the problem is they didn't fight back during the Biden years. And maybe they were, hey, I'm going to bide my time. We're going to get somebody better in. I don't have a whole lot of, tolerance for that. But, I know it's an argument. So, hey, I wanted to hit this. I wanted to hit this next story just briefly, and then there's a couple other videos I want to show about Antifa. Antifa threatens family of law enforcement. Homeland Security says. So Antifa terrorists are threatening the families of law enforcement. This is an ISOF. Let's see who said this. This is the Department of Homeland Security said. Antifa terrorists are threatening the families of our law enforcement. We will hunt these sickos down and put them behind bars. In Texas, the spouse of an ICE officer received a voicemail filled with violent threats. The threat said, "Did you hear what happened to the Nazis after World War II? Because that's what's going to happen to you and your family," the caller said with an expletive-filled message. In an October 10th X post, the White House and said Antifa is a radical terror group explicitly calling for the overthrow of the United States government. And then Antifa recruits, trains, and radicalizes young Americans to engage in the violence and suppression of political activity.
This is the first time that they were designated a terrorist group, though, right? I remember that happened in early presidency.
No, it is. So
they talked about it.
He told his what's his face who ran the DOJ and basically ran it against Trump to do it, and then Barr slow walked it.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, it's just like what happened in Syria, where Trump said, "Get our troops out of Syria," and the DOJ said, "No problem, we'll get right on that, boss," and they never did it. Anyway, so I just wanted to kind of bring to mind that idea that Antifa, Antifa group that evidently doesn't exist, is threatening to dox and to threaten with violence the family of law enforcement. If you wanted to know why ICE guys wear masks, this is why they do it. Let's see. I think we could probably skip. Oh yeah. No, so Antifa's changing their game, right? And so I wanted to show the first tweet on this story here. Antifa pretends to be peaceful after Trump announces crackdown. And so this is, by the way, this was not happening 2 weeks ago. The frog, but that was just one guy, and that was about a week ago. He is when he started coming out, and now we've got this whole kind of. This has become a thing because they're trying to kind of change their image, right?
How dare they use Reptar in this?
Right.
But yeah, you got a point though, because even the Latin Kings, one of their big shots put a $20,000 hit on an ICE agent.
And then like, was it 20 if you killed them, like 5 or 10 or 5 or 2 or 5 if you kidnapped them?
It was what I heard was 20 for his head, and it was $2,000 for any information on where he was. And they showed his picture and everything. Even the news, the news segment showed his picture. I'm like, what are you doing?
You're advertising the bounty. Great. Anyway, it's very funny that Trump sent troops to Portland because someone showed him footage from 2020 and told him it was a current day, and now troops are faced with this. No, this literally is something new that started recently. And so anyway, this sends us down the rabbit hole of how there is a perception. There is a whole new kind of thing to try to.
It's a big lie, right? It's a no.
Well,
it's the same big lie they've been doing ever since this group surfaced.
A, to reform the protesters, and then B, to make you think, to gaslight you into thinking Antifa does. So I want to remind you, we played this video, but I want to play this clip, and then we're going to play the next clip, which is much more telling.
You understand, there's no Antifa. This is an entirely imaginary organization. There is not an Antifa. This is no different than if they announced they rounded up a dozen Decepticons. We've captured the Chupacabra, everyone. And then it was Trump's turn to ratchet up the rhetoric with fiery images conjured from no one has any idea where. You understand.
Real quick, I wanted to get Lance Corporal Veteran for $5. I guess I missed this one. You're forgetting that insurgency is about winning gunfights. It's about outlasting till your opponent gives up. Yeah, it's about using asymmetric attacks, right? Attacks that don't go against the strength of the enemy. So this is look what the Dems did to the Democrats on January 100%. So now play this video, watcher, because this shows you that the signal with Jimmy Kimmel was kind of the first one, I can't remember if he.
Well, they were saying this. They were saying this before the 2020 election as well.
Of course. Yeah.
Well, but this is not new. But it's what you call it, revitalized this lie.
They said it was like Antifa's not a group,
it's an idea.
Yeah,
that's what Jerry Nadler was famous for saying.
There's no Antifa. This is an entirely imaginary organization. There is not an Antifa.
Like, I don't even know what Antifa is. There is no group.
It's not even like far-right groups like the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers. Compared to right-wing extremists, Antifa-linked violence is rare and limited.
It isn't an organization. It is a in many ways mythology.
It's not like the Proud Boys or the Oath Keepers, sort of defined terrorist organizations with leadership that leads violence.
It's not a highly organized movement. It's a moniker. It's not a unified group like the Proud Boys are. Things like Antifa are things that are thought up.
It's all in this guise of going after Antifa, which is nothing. There's no organization called Antifa.
Nobody's a member of Antifa because it doesn't exist. They are just declaring into existence something that doesn't exist.
There is no Antifa organization, so maybe that's good for social media, but it really is non-existent.
They exist on the internet in chat rooms and in 4chan and Discord and places like that, where they run discussion boards, trade tactics, documents, things like that. But none of them are called Antifa.
So all of those flags that I saw that said Antifa on them during riots during the Summer of Love, that was just what was that? Photoshop?
Communist lie.
More
news at 11.
I guess if you say something, what they say, you say something enough time, people are bound to believe it. It sounds like the Sinclair Media Group over there. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. For something that doesn't exist, there's a lot of video.
You sound underwater.
Things.
Oh yeah, it's better now.
You can hear me now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a lot of video of a lot of Antifa members doing Antifa things. My favorite image is the watch. If you go back to the previous story that we were looking at, the leftist fear one. If you go down like 3/4 of the way down, that picture right there, you just went past it. Like, these people don't exist.
Oh, hold on.
If there was a little more like above their pictures, above their heads, this would make a perfect
thumbnail.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, there's no Antifa.
Not to mention the flags that actually said Antifa on them.
Right. It's a moniker. It's not like the Proud Boys. Did you notice that there was several of them that compared? So you see how they've got these talking points, right? And this is absolutely something that the mainstream Democratic Party wants to run really fast from.
Well, the crazy thing to me is if you look at them, they're all mob defenses. Like literally, all if you look at them, they're all literally stuff that the mob used to say anytime one of their members got rolled up. Well, what do you mean? Right. I'm not on the payroll, right? Like, what are you talking about? How do you know I'm associated with them?
The mafia doesn't exist, right? Yeah.
I would argue to say that Blood Tribe and Patriot Front are Antifa too. I think they're just.
I mean, I don't.
I think they're literally the same people in a different costume.
That's what I'm saying. We learned that in Charlottesville.
Well, the irony is that I always get the feeling that the Patriot Front looks like a lot more like they're in better shape than any of the Antifa groups that I've ever seen.
I think they're like from the IT. They just ran out of people at Langley.
Look, guys, the Proud Boys was a real sort
of.
I know.
Oh yeah, that was a real. Yeah, that was a real.
I know Proud Boys. Matter of fact, I was down in Savannah. We had our Hotep cookout down there. One of my buddies, he's a Proud Boy.
I mean, somebody here saying the Proud Boys vanished. Yes, I mean that tends to happen when they come down and arrest your leader for being your leader and not for really any other reason, and then basically tell all your small group leaders that if you don't break up, they'll, come after you next.
Well, like when Project Veritas had that guy go undercover and say, and basically joined Rose City Antifa. They basically said, "Oh, well, that's all hoax. That he didn't really do any of this stuff, and the video he got are all actors." And they literally lie to your face and deny don't believe your lying eyes, which is classic left wing.
And they were trying to give him weapons. Or like a Ben Shapiro, they were going to try.
Yeah. Steven Crowder went undercover with Antifa.
Yeah, and they tried to give him weapons for the Ben Shapiro appearance.
Yeah,
all that other stuff. Yeah.
Gentlemen, that's all I got for today. I was meant to be a shorter show, but we got right to an hour and 55 minutes, so that's all right by me. Cannon, I'm glad you could join us. Looking at this week, what do you see in your crystal ball?
I'm waiting to see who reneges on this peace deal this week. I think it's going to happen by Friday. I want to see what's going on with the shutdown because millions of Americans are affected by it, including yours truly. My wife is on furlough right now, and see if anything opens. Who's gonna blink? You know what I mean? Because this could, I don't know. I'm hoping this is resolved soon, but just like it might go for the long haul. We'll see what happens. And then I just want to see if this UFO gonna pull up on us in November.
Oh, I know, right? There's an interstellar object coming in, right?
Yeah, they said some hostile spaceship supposed to spin the block on Earth. I don't know.
I'm looking forward. Anything to break the political monotony,
Yeah, might have
people would say if Trump said the aliens are going to be friendly because we talked to them, people would be against the aliens because they talked to Donald Trump.
Yeah, all this disclosure has been happening. Project Bluebeam in full effect, guys. I tell you, get all your guns ready. Okay, don't do what they did in the Tomorrow War and use an anemic round on some bulletproof alien. Get yourself big boy rounds. All right, guys.
I know, right? Watcher, what's your take on the week?
Yeah, I think that we don't have our economic smart guys here, but I think the economy is showing signs of. I'll just put it this way: if you're driving a car and it starts making a noise like the economy's making, you're pulling off the road and getting to a mechanic fast. In related news, you all should get chickens because reasons. Just saying.
It makes Klaus Schwab angry if you get chickens.
Yeah, I mean, he wants you to eat the bugs and live in the pod, and the chicken will eat your bugs for you, and it'll live in your pod. It'll give you eggs.
That's true. It'll give you eggs, and you won't want to go to the maid program. You'll want to continue to take care of your chickens. You'll feel responsible.
But there'll be government mandated chickens, guys. Okay, you got to pay taxes on your chickens.
Sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah. All right, guys, that's all I got. Thank you, Cannon, for joining in and helping fill in the vacancy left by my good buddy Joe. Just too bad he couldn't be here to chat with you as well. Where can the folks find you? What's the best way to get your content?
Well, since I'm on a strike from YouTube, kick.com/Cannon Hotep. That's kick.com/Cannon Hotep. Also, I'll be trying to build my Rumble back up. So rumble.com/Cannon Hotep as well. X, IG, all Cannon Hotep. And if you're over there on the TikToks, Cannon.Hotep on the TikTok.
Did you hear they're thinking about putting Barron Trump on the board of TikTok?
Is that right?
That's what I hear.
Interesting. That will happen.
I want it to happen just for the memes. Just for the kind of the
just traveling.
The Caesar Augustus, kind of memes. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I think they're just trying to stop that villain arc that they almost started.
I know, right? All right. So, guys, that's all I got. Thank you very much. Cannon, appreciate you for being here. Watcher, as always. Chat, you guys were killing it, as always. If you haven't done it already, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the link with all your buddies out there. Let them know you're getting good stuff from here on the Council on Future Conflict. And as always,